You know when I'm going to go there, when somebody is jealous and you catch them off guard with such good news about your life that they're like so disappointed and so the rug is so pulled off from under their feet. I don't think it's pulled off, it's pulled from under their feet. That's too many prepositions. That they're just like, they can't even fake a reaction. It's like body language 101. It's September 8th, 2023. The time is 19:38, i.e. 7:38 in the evening, or 22 minutes before the hour of 8 in the evening. I hope that the recording is going to come out right because I am lying down. I'm trying to wind down. It's 1 o'clock. Sorry. My name is Baba Lobrok. It's Baba Lobrok everywhere. And I just feel like talking right now. So, let's talk. I have been in contact with elderly ladies of late. And I'm learning something. I don't know if it's of value, but I'm learning. One of these ladies is 77, 78. Well, they're not, 77, 78 as in 707, whatever. They're not 7,778 years old, but they're between 77 and 78. The other one is 83 years old. One lives in my town, one does not. Now, let's talk about the one in my town. We're friendly. In fact, I would consider her more of a friend than anybody else to me. Not to me, but me to her in this town. Because to me, somebody who's more of a friend to me in this town, and I hope she knows how much I appreciate her, is my neighbor. Oh my God, I'm getting verklempt just thinking about it. Just somebody who has helped me in a way where it doesn't feel like a bother. Oh my God, I hope she knows actually that I appreciate her this much. I thank her, and I'll send her random messages, but just, I'm so lucky. This particular person, I consider myself more a friend to her than I am to my neighbor. Well, not, my neighbor is different because it's almost like sisters in a way, because we live right next to each other. This lady, I've been to her place, hang out and all that. And she works here in town. Just in case I end up posting this and somebody from my town ends up finding out and this person's still alive. No. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm going to preface this by saying that just in case I'm wrong, because even a superhuman like me is not always right. I'm right 99.99% of the time, though, so don't get it twisted. I moved to this town not too long ago. And you may know that if I have been posting these and you've listened previously. That's neither here nor there. And this person and I have known each other for more or less as long as I've lived here. And over time we got close because I go to this business. There's only a handful of businesses in my town, and I visit majority of them often. They then would find out, because I would hang out and talk. Oh my God, I just came back. I talk about the same things, to be honest. I talk about my pet peeves, which you know. I talk about my travels, which I'm passionate about. I'm just as passionate about my pet peeves. I talk about, I guess that's pretty much it. I talk about like my business, which is my online store. Hopefully I'll get my store name back that I accidentally deleted. And if I do get it back, then my store's name is The Lovely Brook. I have a new store that's called My Brook for now. I don't know if I'll change it. The plan was to keep one at The Lovely Brook and to create a new store and name it Tracker Brook. So currently I accidentally removed The Lovely Brook and put Tracker Brook on the original store because I thought I looked at, but I had whatever. And so if you want to look me up, use The Lovely Brook, use Tracker Brook, and use My Brook. Hopefully something should come up there. Anywho, otherwise it's Babala Brook everywhere. I'm like, okay, excuse me, I would tell her about my travels and you know, the stuff that I sell, just the usual stuff, just talking about myself. I don't have much going on in my life, so the 2-3 things that I've mentioned are basically the only things I have going on in my life. Then she's a grandma, so she moved to this town to help with her grandkids and great grandkids, and she is very active in their lives. It's totally her life, which I can appreciate it. I love like families and family love and all of that. I'm very, very close to my family, even though we don't live in close proximity. So then I would just talk about me and my shit and whatever. And all of a sudden, she was like, you know what? I think I want to go to Orange County. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, I want to travel. I'm thinking, of course you want to travel. Everybody, hold on, trigger warning. I'm about to sound like a narcissist. Everybody that I talk to, I only talk to maybe 3 people, about my shenanigans, all of a sudden they start morphing into me in a way. I'm cringing, by the way, just saying this, because I can imagine how it sounds to somebody who's listening to it. So you're not alone. They start morphing into me and start mimicking the things that I do, and all of a sudden they're now traveling. I don't own the rights to adventure, to habits, to hobbies, to things in life, and to human beings. They're free to do what they want, but it's too much of a coincidence. There's a certain false sense of comfort that you get when you relate with people who are old enough to be your grandparents, maybe your mom, old enough to be your mom, where maybe you start looking at them kind of like you would your mom, where I'm talking about a healthy mom relationship, where you don't expect them to treat you the same way that toxic, quote unquote, friendships behave. And I'm learning that maybe that premise is flawed. So she started sounding like all these other people who are either my age or younger, more or less my age group, are acting or is reacting. I was like, oh my God. Am I manifesting this everywhere I go, regardless of who is around me? Yeah, I want to go to Orange County. I'm like, do it. I'm like, shit, go to San Diego, cross the border, go to Mexico, YOLO. And I love to inspire, if I can put it that way. I love to motivate. I'm very passionate about self-development, especially towards women, more especially towards single women. We don't have to sit and wait for a man to start living our lives. What if that person never comes? What if a man comes, but he's not the right person who is going to be the answer to your quest? if you have the means and the want, you can just go and live your best life today. And if you're lucky, you'll meet the person along the way, and you already will have certain things in common. So I love seeing other women flourish. Do I get icked out when they start carbon copying me? Yeah. I'm just like, it's not something that I get used to. It's a thing that happens and has happened throughout my life, but I cannot get used to that shit. It doesn't stop being my pet peeve. Do pet peeves stop? Do you like at some point be like, you know what? I used to hate that. Oh my God, I love it now. Really? Is that a thing? So yeah, and I thought, okay, so you're gonna start. Like I was like, okay, let's get you started. Like, what do you? I know that like people will say they want to do something and never do it. So like okay, how do we put verbs into this thing? And I would ask her, have you planned? When are you deciding to blah, blah, blah? No, this one's at school. Let's wait for this one and blah, 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 blah. And then she had never gone camping in her entire life. I have a story about going camping where I went solo camping and I pitched a tent, the whole 9 yards. This was earlier this year in Joshua Tree. It was also my first time in Joshua Tree. So that was a real great experience. I spent the night there and then the following day. One of my favorite trips, actually, all of it. It was just so peaceful. And then I drove across the border and I went to Mexico, spent the night there. And I was by the beach, during the day, napping, eating Mexican seafood along the beach, listening to Mexican music. It was just such the perfect trip. And actually, I did have a breakdown in my car while I was out there. And even with that having happened, it still was a great trip. Not just in hindsight, even while I was there experiencing all of this, the mood never shifted to a point of, oh my God, what the fuck? So I'm very thankful for that experience, all of it. Well, I'm not thankful that my car had a breakdown, but I'm grateful that it was resolved in the way that it was. So, yeah, she knows about the story of camping. She knows about all of that. And they planned a trip and she went camping with the grandkids not too far from here. And she was like, oh my God, I spent $1,000. And it was the whole family. And we were there. I don't know if they were there overnight or 2 nights. That's neither here nor there. For me personally, I don't want to say I'm on a budget because really I'm frugal. That really is what it is, which thank God for that, I feel like, because I am then able to do so many things because I make my dollar stretch that much further. So I don't want to blame or judge somebody how they do things. I camped in a tent that I own, and they rented an RV, and somebody paid somebody to this and paid somebody. Fine, whatever. Next time, just come to me and I'll tip you. And then they paid this and somebody brought this food and whatever. I'm like, there's a grocery outlet down the street. I was like, because I've looked up camping in that area. I've been to where they camped years ago with somebody else, whatever. It's beautiful and she loved the experience, and that's important. It doesn't matter if it was outside my budget. I'm not the one who was paying for it. Thank gosh for that. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy for you. Looked at the photos, so exciting. I love when somebody copies something that you did and they really just take complete ownership of it and they want you to celebrate them. And you are so like partly icked that they're kind of energy vampire-esque in a way, and they just have no self-awareness about it. I'm not saying it would be nice to like acknowledge it a little bit. Like right now, I've been looking at going somewhere where there's water and just hang out. So I was like, Mexico, Orange County, the thing about Orange County is that it's not cheap. And if when you do find somewhere within my budget to stay, and you're close enough to the beach, but the thing is, it gets interesting with the parking situation. You can't. It's nice when you drive somewhere to spend like a small, like weekend vacation trip. When you drive there, it's nice to be able to drive around. That's the whole point of having your car with you. But certain areas like Los Angeles, I'm sure in New York is even worse. I know that in Los Angeles you can find, actually even in Orange County, you can find parking, but you have to pay here, pay there. It's not part of my lifestyle to be paying for everything all the time. Like, give me a break. Like, what the hell? So sometimes all of those thoughts, I'm like, oh, even when I think about LA, like some places like through Airbnb, will not have parking. And I'm like, oof, like I gotta go and stay there. And where am I supposed to park my car? Like, I don't want to think about that. This is already not relaxing for me. So it ends up not being like a choice. I end up going somewhere else because of those things. And then you have to factor in, okay, these are the days that I want to go there, but those are the days that other people want to be there too. And usually you're gonna be stuck in traffic. Not into it. I'm self-employed. One of the beauties of that, for me, in my opinion, especially working from home and the kind of work that I do online, one of my favorite things about that is to not have to be stuck in traffic. And it's been my lifestyle for majority of my time, my life really, because of even a lot of the jobs that I've done were like shift jobs where you don't have to be at work during 9 to 5, during rush hour. So it's like, it's one of those situations where when you catch yourself being stuck in traffic, you pissed at yourself, like, why did you let this happen? You had so many choices. Now, I don't even know how I ended up in that tangent. Then, I was saying, like, when people don't even credit you or anything and they just pretend, like, maybe that's what my beef is with these people. I don't know. But people don't usually, in my case, acknowledge that this was not their original idea. This was inspired by something that I did or whatever. I try to not be the kind of person that I don't like. I don't get it right all the time. But I was saying, I've been looking at where I can go where there's water. My car was broken down for several weeks. Fortunately, I have it back now, and I ended up going to Vegas because it worked with my plans and the fact that I didn't really trust that the car, whatever the person who fixed it, had not worked for me or done any work for me before. So I wanted to test the car in an area where I'm going to Vegas on the I-15. It's very populated road and stuff like that. I didn't want to take a chance and go 6 hours drive to Mexico where I hardly speak the language. God forbid something happens with car, etc. So I ended up going to Vegas. I had a nice enough time and all that. It was a good trip. I'm very thankful that the car behaved to, during, and from. But I still would like to go to the water. I always want to go to the water. But so I was looking at Big Bear, which I love. Didn't want to go there instead of Vegas because there's the certain drive where that's like by the mountains. I'm like, my gosh, you don't even have cell service in that area, God forbid. So I was looking at, Lake Arrowhead, which is less than an hour from Big Bear. There's water everywhere. Lake Arrowhead, probably not that much of an option because whatever. And I thought to myself, last time I went to Big Bear, I planned to go on a boat ride, a boat tour, but I don't know what the heck happened there, but it ended up not happening. The place was closed. You can book online. You have to book in person. When you go there in person, they give you a website on the window. I was like, all right, maybe it's not meant to be. And I'm like, maybe when I do go, I try to maximize whatever I can do in one town or in one area. So if on the way somewhere there's this, that, and the other in between, I try to touch base with that too and make the most of that whole trip. So I thought to myself, a family member of mine recently went sailing and they sent me photos. So if I go to Big Bear and end up going on a boat trip and I take pictures and I have like a profile picture of me on a boat sailing, it might, if it were me, I probably would feel some kind of way and just be like, okay, that's coincidental. So me being anal, I'm like, if I do end up doing this, I'm going to have to, the person who's in my family who went sailing recently might be like, okay, she doesn't even say she's going sailing or whatever. Look, it's not sailing though, it's just like a boat tour, but okay, it's sailing, I guess. So I'm like, I'm just going to mention, just to mention it. I feel like when you just don't say anything and all of it, it feels passive something. You know, it's like passive something. Feeling the missing word. Back to the old lady. I don't like calling her the old lady. I don't mean to be disrespectful. There's another word I want. Derogatory. After that, I haven't stopped, traveling. I haven't stopped doing my thing. While my car was broken down, I talked to her and she was like, so I wanted to go to Orange County. Talked to my granddaughter and she said to me, how about Grand Canyon? I thought, what? Who goes to Grand Canyon instead of Orange County? I would. But I thought it was interesting because I know her reasons for wanting to go to Orange County. But it's Grand Canyon. It's a bucket list type deal. I thought to myself, oh my God, it's like actually one of the things on my list of things to do. The whole world is on my list except for the places I've been to. And even they are not completely safe because I will go back. I would like to go back to Big Bear even now. Now, I'm like, okay. And then they plan to go to Big Bear, not Big Bear, but Grand Canyon. And, she goes with her granddaughter. And fun fact, while after she told me they had planned it and when they were going to leave, I came home and I thought, oh my God, wouldn't it be nice? I wonder if I should ask them if I can tag along and pay a third of the expense, just the travel part of it. I will find my own Airbnb and it doesn't even have to be in the same location as them. It has to be close enough though, because obviously you don't want people to go out of their way for you when you're the one asking for a favor. So that idea did come to my mind. It's not super how I like to do things because I'm very soloist in how I live my life. But I was like, I wonder if I could ask, would they mind? And then I thought, no, I don't do vulnerability. Like I highly recommend it towards people. But it's not my thing, dude. I'm too sensitive for that. Like ask somebody so that there's a possibility they say no. Me and my analness, so I can sit here and go over the thing and ruminate. I think not, sister. So I didn't ask. The fun part about that, the funny thing about that is when I saw this person after the trip, she said to me, you know what? I did something bad. I said, what? She said, I actually felt so bad while we were driving with my granddaughter because I really wanted to ask you to come with us. I was like, really? That is so funny because I thought of asking and then I thought, no, I would never do that. And I wouldn't want to impose. She said, oh my gosh, you should have asked because I thought of asking you too. And I was like, maybe my granddaughter's going to be like, But my granddaughter would have been fine because you guys know each other, you guys get along, blah, 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 blah. I said, I'm flattered that you thought of me. For me, that feels good enough. Just the thought. It's like being invited to something and turning them down. The fact that somebody did invite or did offer is in my case, usually good enough, because I usually turn people down when they do nice things for me, which is not the greatest of habits, but it goes back with that whole vulnerability thing. So that happened, right? Not coincidentally, what's the word? Ironically, when this lady went to Grand Canyon, I sent her a text when I thought she would arrive the following day. I was like, how's Arizona? Did you make it there safely? Are you having the time of your life? And they never replied. So half jokingly during this conversation, they tell somebody else, this is now at the place of business, they tell somebody else, hey, you know what's funny? I actually would have wanted to ask Brooke, and Brooke thought of asking me. So that was so funny. So I said, you know what's even funnier is that I'm supposed to believe that this person cares about me so much that they would have wanted to go on a trip with me. But when I texted them, they didn't even have the decency to reply to my text. Isn't that funny? Oh my God. Ha 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 ha. Because, there is truth in jest, just softening the blow. But it was interesting that all of a sudden you're out here globetrotting. This is the kind of thing that happens when I come into people's lives. All of a sudden they start doing all the things that I do, even though they weren't doing anything. And what I find more interesting, which is like if I were to go to court about this to prove myself, is I feel like I would win the case, because then if I remove myself from these people's life, because usually I do remove myself because I can't anymore. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so over like the same script. Then they would stop doing the things. They don't keep doing them because I'm not there for them to try to mirror. They can't do it on their own. They weren't doing it. So that's why I feel like I'm vindicated. Like, it's true what I'm saying. I'm not making it up. Today, I went to their place of business. And that's why we're talking today, right now. And the person says to me, by the way, is your car okay now? Sidebar. You know how when people who are a frenemy, they tend to like it when you have a problem. And you can talk to them and vent and they'll be there for you and whatever. But they don't show as much enthusiasm and concern in your life when things are going great. That happens to a lot of people, right? I feel like it does. So they asked me, how's your car? Is it running? I've told them that my car is running. So I've started this new joke because I'm an honorary dad. So the latest dad joke is, my car is fine and I took it for a test drive to Vegas. Vegas is 4 hours drive from my place. I don't know if I'll call it a test drive. So I tell her that I went to Vegas. And then I said, matter of fact, I just came back yesterday. I just spontaneously left a couple of days prior, which is in the middle. Today's Friday, right? And I came back yesterday, Thursday. So I left in the middle of the week. When I tell you this woman had zero reaction, maybe it wasn't zero reaction, but there was no reaction. The face went completely blank. The eyes just stayed focused on one place. You know, when I'm going to go there, when somebody is jealous and you catch them off guard with such good news about your life that they're like so disappointed and so the rug is so pulled off from under their feet. I don't think it's pulled off, it's pulled from under their feet. That's too many prepositions. That they're just like, they can't even fake a reaction. It's like body language 101, because now you catch their sincerest reaction because you caught them off guard. No reaction when I told them my car is so fine now, I just went to Vegas. I'm thinking to myself, I wonder, because what some people do is they count your money. They'll be thinking things like, but you just paid to fix your car. In fact, this very person, when I used to say things like, because they know I just sell clothes on eBay for like $4 profit if I'm lucky. So whenever I'll be like, oh, I just came back from Jamaica, I just came back from Mexico, I just came back from Lake Tahoe, I just came back from, these are all places I have been to this year only. Then they would say, where do you get this money? And I'm thinking to myself, what does it matter? I think they just don't understand, like, where does your black ass get the money to do all these things? And look at where we live. This is not the best town ever. And that's partly how I'm able to do the things that I'm able. It works. I've designed my life so that I can be able to live how I want to live, as we all should. As we all should. It's not something unique that I'm doing. So, and I'm pretty sure that's how she's done it too. She wanted to close to her grandkids. She moved across the country. You know what I mean? She's doing all the things to make her life exactly how she wants. So don't be jealous of my life. Live yours the best way you can. Yeah, she used to be like, where do you get all this money? Where do you get this money? And she didn't know that I owned my house. She used to, whenever I would talk about a bill or whatever, and she'd be like, talk to your landlord. So one day, I just thought, let's throw her a bone. And I said, well, she was like, who is the landlord? I said, the landlord's me. And that threw her off. Completely off balance. Which doesn't take much. That's a mean joke, sorry. And since then, she made a joke to her granddaughter in my presence and said, Brooke is rich. She just doesn't, you just wouldn't know. And I thought, what a thing to say. That goes back to that thing where people, I used to get that a lot in South Africa, where people would say things like, oh my gosh, another new pair of shoes. I always have a lot of shoes. I have like more than 100 pairs of shoes. I've worn the same size of shoes for so long. So that's another thing. I don't have usually the luxury of wearing the same size of clothing for a long time. But shoes are my thing. People in my predicament understand this, or people who just love shoes. So people will be like, oh my God, another pair of shoes. And I'm somebody who tries to go through my stuff and not just wear the same things. I try to not feel guilty about having several closets full of things that I don't wear. So I will organize my closets in a way where, especially now in the time of Instagram, if I post a picture in that outfit, it helps me, because then I don't want to post in that outfit again. I'm going to wear another. It's not necessarily driven by vanity. It just motivates and helps me wear my stuff so that I don't have a lot of stagnant energy in the house. And then, sell some of the things, etc. I have to wrap this up now. That's what he said. I just feel like something beat me in my back. And it's not impossible here in the desert, trust me. If you're new here, I live by Death Valley, which I always recommend. Whenever I mention it, I always say, I highly recommend. Oh my gosh, I think something really did bite me, or it's currently biting me. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Now, so now they know that they were already concerned, thinking that I'm renting, and they were concerned that, where do you get all this money when I was traveling? And now they're finding out that I own my home. I don't know if they don't have the details, but still, I think it's like, another jealous thinking thing. I would tell this person, I remember saying to her, oh my God, I lost 11 pounds. It had been so long since I lost weight with my diagnosis that I've mentioned here before. And I would talk about, the weight gain, whatever, and they would be like, oh my God, I was diagnosed with this condition when I was this age, and I've had weight struggles all my life. I've had a weight loss surgery, lost a lot of weight, and blah, 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 blah. We'd talk about those kinds of things. But it goes back to what I said about frenemies loving it when you have problems. When you're not reporting things that are positive about your life, they love it and they'll engage. And then they go completely dumbstruck. Is that the word? When you reporting things that are positive. I like to talk more about the positive things. I know this may not be believable because I come here to vent, but in my regular life, I try to focus more on the positive things, and I try to talk more of the things that are great happening in my life. It also goes hand in hand with my thing of not wanting to be vulnerable. I don't like to share a lot of like things that are making me insecure, that are making me uncomfortable, whatever, to people in my real life. For what? So that what? So no, absolutely not. No, I don't recommend it. But do you, boo. So we talk and share about weight, struggles, and whatever. But when I said to her, I lost 11 pounds, she just looked at me. You know what? Now that I'm talking and I'm collecting all this evidence, I'm really realizing that this person, I know this already because I'm not dumb, but I'm really realizing there are way too many instances where this person hasn't actually had a reaction or a positive thing to say. It's going to come up. With me, once I realize something, especially when you're somebody who pretends to be my friend, to be on my team. Is it on my team or in my team? I think it's in my team. Whatever. On my team, whatever. I feel like on my team works as well. When you're somebody who's pretending to be that way, to have an open relationship with me and whatever, friendship, and then I realize all these things because I think and overthink things, and then I come to a conclusion, it's hard for me not to say something next time I see you. So I know that now that I've talked about this, and I've come up with all these instances, and it carries much more weight than I thought it did, it's going to come up. Next time they try to pretend to be, oh, I love you. There's this thing, especially here in America. People are just throwing the word I love you so loosely at everybody, which is fine to say I love you, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, just a second with that. Okay, let's not be super pretentious. Maybe a little. So, yeah, I'm just remembering now the same reaction that she had when I told her I own my home is the same reaction she had when I told her I just came back from Vegas. Same reaction I told her when I said I lost 11 pounds. She just says nothing. It's going to come up. I hope I remember to tell you, to update you about what she's going to say when I say that. It's going to come up. Sorry. It's just, maybe I'm petty, but, hey. Because what the heck, man? Really? At 80 years old, this is how you are? I'm not putting pressure on people and saying, be a certain way. Maybe the joke's on me for trusting, at least for extending a certain level of trust towards somebody. Because my mom is such a safe place. You can talk about one of my siblings to my mom, and it stays there. Also, not just because she has decorum, but also because she is our mom, and she has decorum, whatever that word is. One of my sisters uses that word a lot, and she's so smart, and she speaks a lot of English. She was an English major in college. So, yeah, this is going to come up for real. And of course, I think that I already did a thing here where I talked about how this very person just dragged her whole family, including, I don't want to talk about that right now. But yeah, it's going to come up. Don't be surprised when I don't consider you a friend like I have been all along, because maybe I was slow to learn, but I've figured it out now, and the jig is up. Yeah. So that's the story for today. Just because somebody is older doesn't mean that they're not just as much of a snake or a frenemy or a jealous bitch or anything that you refer to people who are your age group if you're not 78 years, 80 years old or 90. Just because they're that age doesn't mean they're better than anybody else. Because I guess what happens to that personality when they get that age? It doesn't go anywhere. They say people get set more in their ways when they get older. So if you were a shitty person when you were younger, you're going to be real shitty when you're older, I guess. So I feel like this is the case in point here. I only talked about one older person, maybe two, because my mom too, and I kept bringing up my mom. But at this point, we're at 50% cool person, 50% not. So I can't really, judge the whole world on that. But I just wanted to share about that particular case and that particular person. Little disappointing, yes. But you leave, you learn, you block another motherfucker from your phone. Bye-bye. It's Babala Brook everywhere. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. I want to hear about your experiences, even if you contradict what you think. What I said. I'd like to hear your viewpoint, because maybe it'll give me something to think about instead of ruminating over the same thing over and over again. Ha ha ha.